It's October 25th, and I just got delivery of my John Deere X590 series tractor. It's brand new, 2018, with a snowblower attachment. My mower deck I just took off for the winter, and just wanted to give you some information about the tractor and talk about it a little bit. I apologize for the wind in the background. It's been very windy here in the last week, and it's actually pretty chilly right now. So again, it's the X590 series tractor. It has the upgraded super aggressive tires in the back, 24-inch tires. They do come with handles, obviously your fuel. I got the 4 weights because of the snowblower. Down here there's a transmission relay, so if you wanted to push the tractor without it running, pull that out like that, and you can push it pretty easily. And when I say easily, just keep in mind the tractor itself, with the mower on it, I'm not sure what it would be with the snowblower, but the tractor itself is just over 800 pounds with the mower. So I know the snowblower weighs a little more than that, so it is still a lot of weight that you're pushing. 4 weights in the back. These are about 42 pounds a piece. Has the reflectors, which are pretty nice. This is the X500 series. The 700 series has the actual lights. One of the difference between the 500 and the 300, as well as the high back seat. You can see it's a much more comfortable seat. Another handle on here, cup holder, little storage compartment. Got some spare, looks like they gave me some spare shear pins for the snowblower. Under the seat, you see there's a deck leveling gauge. You have the deck adjustment tool there, and of course the seat sensor for the tractor. When you're on the seat, it won't start and the mowers won't turn on. Another neat feature of this is it comes with a diff lock, which the 300 series does not, and actually the lower 500 series also do not have this. So what this does is locks both rear tires so that they spin at the same time. So normally when you're mowing, it's power to one wheel. When you depress this down with your foot when you're driving, it actually locks the hubs, if you will, so it makes both tires spin at the same time. That way, if you're in uneven terrain and you're spinning one tire, you can hit that, and it'll almost act like 4-wheel drive in a sense. Your deck adjustment. So again, I have the snowblower on, so when the snowblower is on, your adjustment is at 1. You can see the little icon there. Shows you that it has to be at 1 when you remove the deck. So then you just leave it there when you're, with the snowblower attachment on it. I'll go over the snowblower in a second. We'll get in the tractor and give you some. So you have obviously your steering wheel here. There's a tilt adjustment right here. There's several different positions that you can tilt the steering wheel, which is difficult to do with just one hand, but you can see it moves up and forth, up and down. So over here, I'll show you some functions. So your parking brake. Obviously, when you hit the parking brake, that's release. To put it on, pull it up. This is your cruise control, so when you're using your hydrostatic pedals over here, your front right here, you can push that down and that puts it, keeps it at that speed, that cruise control. Your PTO, so mower and snowblower or any other attachment that you have will be activated by that. So you pull up on it, turn it on, push it down. For your key setup, you'll see that you have your start position, your run position. So when you start it, you push it obviously like a normal key, and then it returns back to this position. If you want the headlights on, you just twist it back 1, and that's headlights, and then off is obviously in the position that is now. On this side, you have your, try to get a good angle here, your mower lift. So up is up, and then pushing down is to lower it. Another thing about the X500 series, they have power steering and power hydraulic lift for your attachments in your mower deck. So of course that makes it easier for steering and then lifting. You don't have that pedal over here like some tractors do, where you have to lift manually with your foot. So everything's power on this tractor, everything's hydraulic. This is what they call the Rio switch. So if you're mowing or using implements when backing up, you have to depress the switch down before you hit your reverse pedal over here. However, before I started this video, I have found a way to disable this without splicing, without using jumper wires, without doing anything to the tractor. It's actually a sensor underneath the tractor in this general area here, which is very difficult to access intentionally, I'm sure, by the manufacturer. And that switch is on a slider plate. And what I mean by that is that the switch can actually be loosened and slid up or down for adjustment, and then tightened again in its location. So I will do another video on how to disable the Rio without actually doing anything with wires in the computer system, because this is an electronic control engine, and I'll go over that in a second too. So I'll do another video on that, but there is a way to make it so you do not have to back up. You don't have to press this down to back up. You can just be driving like you do forward and backwards and not have to worry about shutting the mower or the snowblower on and off. That is a safety feature, so of course do it at your own risk, but I've found a way to do that. Another thing about the X590, which is one of the main reasons I went with this model in the X500 series, is there is no choke. It's just a throttle and everything's electronic. So this engine is EFI, so it's electronic fuel injection. There's no carburetor. It's all done by electronically, just like an automobile nowadays. So it starts and runs just like an automobile. And then your throttle, again, it's electronic. It's not cable driven, so when I open the hood, I'll show you in a second, there's no cables that this thing operates. There's a there's a punch out here. This is for a mowing deck feature. It's called I believe like mulching something. So they install a switch here. There's a little hydraulic cylinder that closes the chute on your mower deck. And what that does is it essentially creates the mower deck into a mulching system, so it doesn't discharge any chippings from the side. It actually just recycles it until it breaks it down and it pushes it into the ground below the deck. So I don't have that feature. That's something you have to add. So this is the LCD screen here. So you'll see it's going to have, when I turn it on, it's going to have your battery gauge here, your hours. This is your cut, maximum cut control gauge. So essentially, the more your throttle, the higher your throttle is, the higher the gauge will be up. So of course you want the gauge to be up in here when you're mowing or snow blowing. So it kind of just gives you an efficiency rating. So I'll turn it on. You can see all the different things it tells you. It has the stop and that other exclamation point. That's just for like service notifications. So as you can see, you have your hours here. You have your battery, which is in the normal range. My parking brake is engaged right now, so if I were to shut my parking brake off, it actually would turn off. And then again, it goes back on. The cool thing about this too is it has a fuel gauge. The older models in the X300 series that don't have fuel gauges, you have to look behind the tractor at the fuel tank itself, and there's little lines in the fuel tank to gauge how much fuel you have left. This actually is all electronic, which is another cool feature of this. So that's that. I guess we'll go under the hood here. So this is a iTorque power system by John Deere. This is a Kawasaki engine. It says John Deere on it, but this is a Kawasaki. It's a 25.5 horse at 3,600 RPM. Again, I already talked about the electronic fuel injection. This is the most powerful V-twin engine that they have in their X series tractors before they start going to a a liquid cooled gasoline engines, which are in their X700 series. So the X590 series in this year model is the largest you can get. So this is a very good engine, and it's very powerful. And that was one of the things the salesman was talking about when I was telling him what I was going to use it for. Obviously mowing, but also snow blowing. He said the X590 is probably the best tractor you can get in that series, other than going with the X700s. And the reason I didn't go with the 700s is because they're much more expensive when you get to liquid cool. You can actually get them in diesel, 3-cylinder diesel, the Yamaha engines, and it just was way too much, and it wasn't practical for what I needed it for, so I couldn't justify it. So your obviously oil fills here, battery. It's about half the size of a car battery, so it's pretty decent size. 500 cold cranking amps. You can see all electronics. It's all electronic. There's nothing that's cable driven in here. Fuel lines, obviously. Your fuel injection system. We'll go around to this side here. So your fuse box, all your electronic stuff. I mean, there's tons of it. So this does have a flywheel alternator too, so you can power a few more accessories on this, which you can see down here. You have a power port, a 12-volt power port. You can plug things in, like lights or anything that you want to plug into that uses 12 volts. So that's that. It does have that cowl type hood, and it actually is functional, so air does get sucked in that cowl. So the snowblower is pretty simple. It is a very heavy duty snowblower. It's the 47-inch, which is the largest they make for these types of tractors. The 44-inch are for the X300 series, which is the series down below from this one. But you can tell by looking at this stuff, like, that's thick metal. This is all solid. Gear driven, all hydraulic in terms of not hydraulic, but oil in here. It is belt driven. You don't get the shaft driven until you get the X700 series. But it's solid metal. You can see the system comes down through here. And that's a lifting system there. Where those pins are there, or where your deck hooks up to. So this bracket here comes right off, and then your deck goes underneath here and it hooks to those. So that's how your deck moves up and down as well. So it uses the same hydraulic lift, the deck and the snowblower. But as you can see, it is belt driven in here. And I forgot to mention, obviously, it's headlights too. So you can see it's big gear blocks there. I mean, it seems like it's pretty good quality. Obviously, I haven't used it yet. I just cut it, but as cold as it's been, it won't be long before I probably have to use it. So other than that, that's about it. Oh, and also the seat can be adjusted front and backwards. So I'm long-legged, so it's pretty far back for me. Other than that, that's the X590 series 2-wheel drive, hydraulic lift, hydraulic steering tractor. And like I said, stay tuned for my next video. I'll talk about the Rio disable for that tractor, so you can back up with your implements on. Thank you for watching. Post if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer them.